Going live? Oh. Hello, everybody! Welcome to Schmoedown All Access. We got a great week of matches. I'm your host, Caleb Little Boat Boatman. And I got a small panel today, but good buddy of mine, member of Apocalypse, Sean Sicario Sandberg. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing extremely well. My boy was on this week, so I had to jump on this panel.
Yeah. Yeah, we had Paul Oyama, fan league player. We had him on the show. We'll talk. I mean, him on Schmoedown. He was on the Schmoedown. I don't know why I said we had him on Schmoedown, as if I have any power in that decision. But if I did, he would definitely be on the Schmoedown because Paul is a great guy. So I'm glad he's there. I went on a tangent. Let's jump into the matches. We had Rachel Cushing versus Adam Hlavik. And this was the IG #1 contender match. These are two very great players, so it's very interesting to see them clash off. And first, show starts out. Emma Fife is talking to Harloff, and Harloff basically says you can either become the IG team's commissioner or you can stay with the Fife Club. You can't do both. And then Emma Fife, we see her talking with Andreyko and Cushing, and she basically says, I love the Fife Club, but I want to be the commish. So that's what we saw there. We get a little bit more of that when we talk about the next match, but right there we got that. And then, the players make their entrances. Rachel Cushing just kind of doing her kind of standard usual and standard more entrance, not one of her big kind of flashy entrances, which is kind of nice to see a little change of pace from her. And the first round was killer from both of these players, but especially Rachel Cushing, who got 8 out of 10 points in the first round, whereas Adam Hlavik only got 6 points in the first round. Still a very valiant effort, so 2-point deficit between them. Sean, what are your thoughts on everything leading up to the first round and the first round?
Everything leading up to the first round, I'm not always the biggest fan of Emma Fife. But that being said, she did win the Commissioner Bowl, and she deserves to have that spot. That's something she played for, she won, she earned. So you got to give it to her on that one. And especially considering the fact that her faction is extremely dominant, that couldn't have been an easy choice for her. So I respect the fact that she's, going to be in the commissioner position. And I hope the best for her. It's going to be interesting to see, and especially with Roxy Stryer now managing Andreyko, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to lead to some real interesting storylines, I think, overall. And just big congratulations to her. As far as the intros go, it was definitely different to see Rachel not doing one of those big flashy entrances with a costume and everything. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a nice change of pace to reiterate your sentiments. So, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel's somebody who always goes all out with these entrances, at least as of late. She's definitely kind of done these bigger entrances, whether she dress up as Gladriel or Agent Carter or whoever.
Yeah.
What?
Or Hella.
Oh, yeah, or Hella. She does all these great entrances, but it was kind of a nice personal change of pace to kind of go back to her classic entrance where she just kind of came out as herself, did the little thing where she crushed it. And, that was just a really nice change of pace to kind of take it back to the old days of Rachel Cushing before she kind of turned into this dominant player when she was just, this newer, person off the block, and we just didn't quite know her yet. So it was kind of a fun homage back to that. As far as round one goes, Adam Hlavik is a really killer IG player, but
absolutely, and
he is.
Let's face it, he's never had an easy match.
No.
In IG. Let's think about who he's played: Hector Navarro, Mike Kalinowski, Rachel Cushing. And he played Robert Meyer Burnett as well when Robert was champion. Didn't he?
I want to say no, but I will fact check that because I'm pretty sure that Hlavik's first match was against Hector Navarro. Okay, so what happened was Adam Hlavik played Robert Meyer Burnett in the team league because it
Oh
was
yeah,
Slavic and Hector Navarro against Campia and Burnett.
yeah. I mean, like, dude, that guy has never had an easy match
No.
whatsoever, and it's something I can genuinely sympathize with in certain, in certain leagues. Like, I mean, just I, I, I mean, Christ, you saw who I had to play as a lineup in multiplex.
Yes.
And so whenever someone just has to go through a murderer's row of people, I genuinely sympathize with them because it's like I've had to do that myself.
Yeah.
So I mean, Hlavik, I don't think has had the opportunity to show exactly how dominant of a player he could be, but it also it kind of comes with the territory, you know.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget the first match of the IG tournament wasn't even supposed to be the first match of the IG tournament, and that was Slavic versus Navarro. That
Yeah,
match was supposed to be like kind of more. There was supposed to be like it was supposed to be closer to the belt, but then the tournament happened, so Slavic had much farther to go than
yeah,
expected. And out of all the first round matches, nobody who won had a harder person to defeat than Adam Hlavik. I
yeah,
don't think,
absolutely.
yeah, I don't think anyone who actually won had to take down anybody more difficult than Hlavik. Like that was so impressive that Hlavik was able to do that. And it was an absolutely great match, that Navarro versus Lavic. But yeah, that was the toughest round one matchup, and Lavic pulled it off. And here he definitely showed that he knows his stuff. But Cushing is just so dominant in IG.
Yeah,
She's just such a talented IG player that Hlavik couldn't quite match up to in the first round, but he still played a valiant effort. Moving on
absolutely.
now to round two. Round two goes, and Hlavik gets the category of Star Wars, and he does all right with it. He gets his score up to 11 points, getting 5 points in that round. Though he does get Rachel get a couple steals in there, bringing her score up to 10 points, so 10 to 11 at the end of Lavik's spin. Rachel spins, and she gets opponent's choice, unfortunately. And Lavik makes the interesting decision of giving her movie release dates.
Yeah, that
Which,
was I realistically, it was a sound decision in a lot of ways, but it also, like, there was no winning
yeah.
with the categories on that wheel.
Um,
Rachel too knowledgeable about everything in IG
yeah. I think
that
the
even
one thing maybe you could have given her is like maybe Star Trek. But
even then she knows her shit about Star Trek.
yeah. I
Like,
think just comparatively, that's the only one she's semi-weak in. Like
yeah,
everything else, she's just so dominant in.
oh yeah, exactly. I
But
mean,
yeah, so movie release dates isn't a bad choice, but when it comes to IG, movie release dates is so like shortened to
yeah,
where like there's less options. So movie release dates is a much better category. Unless you're just terrible at release dates, you're gonna do all right if you get release dates. So
absolutely. And I feel a little bit funny about this because I'm speaking to the secret son of Scott Mance when it comes to movie release dates. Like people who don't watch the fan leagues, and by the way, I literally just made a comment on the Schmoedown page about this. There's certain people that are talking about the fan leagues right now, and not to just kind of like go off on a tangent like that's completely unrelated. There are certain people that are talking about the fan leagues right now as though we're a bunch of bums. And to that, I just have to say, shut the fuck up, come and play us here, because like it is getting slightly infuriating. Uh, with the way that people are talking about us now, with Paul making his debut and whatnot. But anyways, but yeah, you are absolutely correct. Um, in the fact that yeah, movie release dates is a smaller category the second you get into IG.
yeah,
You know, unless you're going to expand all the different things that encompass IG, like sort of the way that some of the other leagues have, uh, you're really dealing with a limited number of movies, and if you know them, you fucking know them, you know.
Yeah.
So it
And even then, like, you don't have to know all of them, but if you know a few, you're probably going to do okay when it comes to IG because, like, when it regular movies, like general movies, singles, movie release dates is a lot tougher because it can be any movie. You
yeah,
know, it doesn't matter. It can be absolutely anything. So it doesn't really matter if you don't know, I mean, so excuse me, reverse that. It
yeah,
does kind of matter what you know and you don't know. But when it comes to IG, you only have to study a small subset of release dates to really get that right. So release dates is a great strength. If you get spinner's choice, that's a great thing to pick for spinner's choice because that's so like you can know everything about Lord of the Rings, but there
yeah,
can still be one little detail you miss in a movie that they ask a question about.
yeah,
Movie
absolutely.
release dates, you don't even have to watch the movies to know movie release dates. You know?
Yeah,
So that's why movie release dates is such an odd category in IG. And that's why it's my personal strength whenever I play IG here. If you ever watch our IG matches, I'm always really hoping for that movie release dates category.
yeah,
Um,
and weirdly, with how much I dislike the entire basic, franchise of it, I'm somehow always hoping for DCEU. I don't know how that turned out to be a strength of mine. It's so
I think
fucking
it's
weird.
because you probably watch the movies a little more, and there's such a smaller category. There's
Yeah.
only yeah.
No, but
Plus,
that's what I'm saying. It's a smaller category, and
yeah.
it's like somehow it became a freaking strength of mine, just sort of like movie release dates would be for you. It's just weird.
Mhm. Well, I also consider Back to the Future a strength for me in IG,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's only three movies in that franchise.
Yeah,
But that's
exactly.
mainly because I've seen the Back to the Future franchise so many times.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and I guess moving on to round three now, right?
Yeah, moving on to round three. I should mention movie release dates. Cushing got her score up to 17, so 17 to 11. So Slavic got a lot of ground to make up. So starts out question one. What is the name of the monstrous creature that Hulk finds at the end of The Incredible Hulk? He gets that question right. His three-pointer, where does the Fellowship take refuge after they escape the mines of Moria?
Yeah,
He
blah, blah,
misses
blah.
that one.
Yeah.
And then in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, who says the following line? You may not like him, mister, but you can't deny Dumbledore's got
Dumbledore's got
style.
style.
What?
Dumbledore's got style.
Yeah. That character's awesome. I also did not remember his name.
I couldn't remember his name either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
right
great
there with you.
character, but yeah, I think they say his name like once or twice in that whole series. But
Yeah.
Halavic did also not remember his name. So it was a TKO for Rachel, 17-13.
Yep.
Yeah. So Sean, what did you think of that round and the entire match?
Um, it overall the match was really great, and like I said before, Halavic hasn't had the opportunity to show exactly how good he can be.
Yeah.
Like he's a force of nature when you give him the opportunity to be. Um, and I think Rachel just showed that she knows her shit. Unless you're Mark Knopik or Mike Kalinowski, you're probably not going to beat Rachel Cushing in an IG match,
Yeah.
especially
I want to
Kalinowski.
post. Oh,
Sorry, but overall, I think it'll be interesting going into this next match because it's like anything when you win, especially when you win dominantly, it can either be a really good thing for you or it can be a really bad thing. You go in with too much confidence, going like, "Well, I just knocked out, Adam Hlavik," or you go in there and you go in with the right amount of confidence. I don't know what it's going to be. I assume because of how many times Rachel has been there before, in pressure matches. Uh, I think she'll go in with the right mindset, but it all just depends. You know, I don't fully know. We'll see.
So, but yeah, I don't know who's gonna win between Kalinowski and Cushing, because if you watch like on like the corruption page, I don't think anybody studies harder than Mike Kalinowski. I really don't. I don't think anybody works harder at IG than Mike Kalinowski. Rachel Cushing knows a lot of stuff, and she does study, but I think Kalinowski just wants to keep this belt so badly. Like he's trying so hard. So it's definitely going to be an interesting dynamic because they both want this belt very, very badly. So that's going to be a match for the ages. Kalinowski versus Cushing. That's a match for the ages. But overall, this was a good match. I think Lavix, like I'd say in the history of IG competitors, I probably put him in the top 5, but at number 5. I think you got to put Cushing, Inman, Nopik. I can never remember. Kanopik, that's right. I can never remember. Kanopik and Kalinowski, not necessarily in that order, but those 4 above him. But I do think once you put that 5th spot, then I say probably Hlavik right there. I think he's the second best IG player to not get the title. That's fair. Because, Inman, Kalinowski, Mara, they all got their title. I think Cushing is also one of the best IG players and is the best who has not gotten the title.
Yeah, unquestionably. She's got to be one of the best.
So now moving on to the match that I think you and I were the most excited for.
Absolutely.
And this match was somebody who I was somewhat familiar with in the gentleman of Brendan Meyer. I was familiar with him because I watched a lot of Disney Channel when I was younger. And there was a show on Disney XD called Mr. Young. And the main character in that show was played by Brendan Meyer.
Oh, okay.
So I did watch that show, not super frequently, but I've watched a couple episodes, so I did know Brendan from that. And then the other person, you and I both know very well.
Yes, we do.
Paul Primetime Paul Oyama.
Yep. Set your watches.
Yep.
Fuck. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I played Paul in his first match in any of the leagues.
I want to say that's right, but I'm not sure.
I'm almost positive that my team match with John Salvi against him and Michael Campbell was his first match. And I feel bad for a lot of the people that are just dogging on him right now, because it's like you have no idea what you're actually witnessing right now.
Yeah.
You don't. This is a guy that is going to come into these leagues and you don't know how fucking good he is. I have firsthand experience playing him. Yeah. He is remarkable. And
that is probably one of the worst matches he's ever played comparatively to the fan leagues. And he dominated.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If that's your weakest performance, that's impressive.
We were all shocked that he didn't go perfect in the first round. That's how freaking good he is.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh, well, he's gonna go perfect, no question about it. And then it's just, he.
And 6 points in the first round is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. But even then, it's like that was Paul's weakest performance. And if you're gonna beat Paul, that's probably the best place to play him, is right when he's built everything up, and he's going into it just going like, okay, well, I'm this is the show now. But after that, now that he's got the experience under his belt, Christ, if I was anybody, if I was freaking even Dan Murrell, I'd be going like, okay, we've got someone new to look out for.
Yeah. I don't know if yeah, they're saying that yet, but they should.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I'm putting the cart before the horse a little bit here because we did start out with a cut scene of Anne Draco talking to Roxy Stryer and basically saying, "Hey, I want you to manage me and Snyder permanently." Now, whether that means Roxy's also going to manage Shirewolves, we don't know. She could, but that would mean that Snyder and the Shirewolves would be on the same faction, and that doesn't quite make sense to me. So I don't know what the future holds for the Shirewolves. You know, where they're going to go from there, but either way, I think Roxy is great on the mic, and she's great with the Odd Couple, and I can't wait to see where they go from there.
Yep.
But yeah, moving on now to actual round one. Start of the round, Paul, he goes up and not goes up. They both go, and Paul is up 2 points, 6-4 at the end of that first round. He only missed 2 questions, and I think we were shocked that he even missed those 2 questions.
Absolutely.
The only 2, one of the ones we missed, we were really shocked on because I think you and I both got that right.
Yes,
what you saw the release of the Chamber of Secrets?
Yeah, the 2002 answer. Yeah.
I think we were all shocked about that. But you know, when you're under the lights, that type of thing can happen every once in a while. The other one he missed, I'll admit I also got wrong, even though I love this movie. Who plays Gretchen Wieners in Mean Girls? I can never remember her name.
Lacey Chabert.
Yeah, it's Lacey Chabert, and I can never remember her name.
Chabert, I believe it's Chabert, but yeah, it's
Chabert. Yeah,
it's a French name. Makes sense.
Yeah. The original voice of Meg Griffin.
Oh, was she actually?
Yeah, no. She I want to say the first season, she was the voice of Meg Griffin before Mila Kunis.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. But yeah, 6-4, definitely a great score from Paul. Meyer, he stumbled a bit, but I think he still did put up a good effort. Just he was not, he's not going to take down Paul.
No, I mean, and it put me in a weird position when I found out he was Canadian because I was like, do I go against my countrymen in order to friggin' root for my friend? And I was just like, yeah, I'm going against my country on this one.
I think that if you put Brandon up against somebody like Stacey Howard or Janine, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's somebody who is more Brandon speed, somebody like that, or somebody like, even somebody like Josh McCouga would probably be really great. Or
that would make for a good match, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, honestly, that would probably be a really, really fun match. I think there are a lot of these kind of mid-tier players that I would definitely like to see Brandon play. But Paul's gonna. At the very least, Paul's going to get himself into a #1 contender match by the end of the year. At the very least.
Agreed completely.
Yeah. But moving on now to round 2, unless you had anything more to add about round 1, Sean.
No. I mean, I think we basically covered everything. I will say this, though. When I found out that they were throwing Paul in against Brendan Meyer, and I had no idea who Brendan Meyer was, my initial thought was, oh, that poor bastard.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, basically...
He seemed like a really nice dude.
Oh, he seemed like an absolute sweetheart. I mean, there's no way he's going to watch this, but, Brendan Meyer, if you ever... somehow see this, you seem like an absolute sweetheart. You're from Canada, so I'm gonna be on your side, but it's just, it was just too bad you had to go up against my boy on that one. It's just a shame.
That was just a rough debut to have, anybody debuting.
Well, to me, it just seems as though it's basically like it's the equivalent of going, "Hey, welcome to your first match. You're going to play Dan Merle."
Yeah, really. That would be like if Merle somehow just had an incredibly bad luck streak and he was basically like 10-10. So they
Yeah.
set him up against a newbie, and then that's when Dan just destroys.
Yeah.
Like Paul at 0-0 is the most dangerous he can be because you can't set him up against somebody actually to his caliber.
No, and realistically, now he's most likely going to play Chance Ellison, which
Yes,
I'm going to be honest with you.
Someone of his caliber.
I'm actually not the biggest fan of that idea.
I'm a fan of the idea. I'm not a fan of doing it as his next match.
See, and that's where I'm at with it. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll get to that eventually, obviously.
Yeah. So moving on, Brandon Meyer goes up, and he gets the category of Festival Darlings. This is a category that has stumped the likes of Critically Acclaimed and William Bibiani before.
Yeah.
But he didn't do great with it. He got 3 points in that round, bringing his score up to 7, whereas Paul did get a 2-point steal in that round, bringing his score 8-7 at the end of Brandon's spin. And it went to Paul, and Paul got the category of Directors, which he did very, very well with, bringing his score up to 14 points at the end of that round, only missing one question entirely in that round and not needing to go to multiple choice on the other 3 questions. So 14-7 at the end of that round. Sean, with thoughts on round 2?
There were moments. One thing I did forget to bring up, especially on the Chamber of Secrets question, but even in round 2, there were moments I was yelling at, like, I don't get interactive with the friggin' Schmoedown unless like Dan Merle's playing or Williams playing. But then when, since I know Paul, it's like, when he whiffed on some of these questions or when he needed to go to multiple choice, I was going like, what are you doing? Like, I was so, like, it was probably the only time I've gotten interactive with the round. But I will say when he hit Directors, I was just like, okay, well, that's probably game right there. And it sounds as though like I'm just fucking kissing Paul Oyama's ass throughout this whole thing, but like realistically, once you've played him, you know how good he is, and just like you just feel bad for people that have to go up against him.
Yeah. As somebody who has never played him but has watched other people play him, I can absolutely concur.
Yeah. I will say like round 2, Paul did what he does. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Moving. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No, unless do you have more to add?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I was
moving on to round 3. What?
I was just gonna throw it back to you. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Moving on now to round 3. Brandon's up to answer his 2-pointer in the category of thriller. The question was who directed Prisoners? Denis Villeneuve. He got that right. Then in the category of Tom Cruise, who is Tom Cruise's co-lead Malcolm Beach in Oblivion? He gets that right. Morgan Freeman for 12 points, or 3 points, bringing his score up to 12. And then in the category of 2010's movies, 2014's Neighbors, who plays college dean Carol Gladstone, and he does get that right, Lisa Kudrow.
Yep.
Then it's up to Paul to answer his 2-pointer, who plays Walter Sobchak in The Big Lebowski, John Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
Paul gets that right. And then if Paul gets this one, he gets the match. And who played the eBay customer and 40-year-old virgin who wants to buy boots with goldfish in them. And Paul gets it right, Jonah Hill, and he wins the match 19-17. Well, what are your thoughts on that match and the round in general? And what were your thoughts on that round in the match in general.
Well, you know, it was really impressive that Meyer was able to, stave off the TKO. Um, and Paul, like I said in the, about the previous round, he did what he does really. One thing that I haven't really talked about is Brendan Meyer put in an incredibly valiant effort, and 17 points is really nothing to sneeze at. Like that for a debuting player, that's a really good score to get. So, much respect to Brendan Meyer. The match overall went just about how I thought it would. Um, and yeah, respect to both players. You know,
Yeah. Well, the one more thing I do, or I'll give my thoughts. Yeah, Paul, as I said, he played a killer game, but not as killer as he's going to be. And then
yeah,
in the post match interview, he did call out Chance Ellison a little bit there, and
yes,
that's that. I wish I want to wait for that match. I really do,
agreed.
because that's a match that we've. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, because you know this a little bit better than I do.
Okay.
Paul and Chance have never played each other in movies.
One on one, they haven't.
Singles. Yes, that's what I meant. Correction.
Singles, they
In
have
teams,
not.
they have, but one
In
on
team,
one, no.
yeah, it was Russell Howell and Chance Ellison versus Paul Oyama and Cody Newberry, and Cody and Paul wound up winning that match.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that was the last time they played. It was the only time that they played, but Paul really crushed it on that friggin' match.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy to play Russell and Chance as it is, and just to go in there with a guy who you've never played with before.
Yeah. Why
You
was he not playing with Michael Campbell? Out of curiosity.
I don't know that answer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it just turned out. Oh, it was Cody had a partner, but the partner ended up dropping out or something, and then Paul ended up jumping in.
Yeah.
If I'm
Was
not,
that
if
in
that was
team?
in Jack of all that was in Jack of all trivia in
Okay.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty certain that's the reason. If Paul ends up seeing this, he can correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but I believe that that's the way that all wound up working out.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Paul played an excellent game, but they're not ready for how good he's going to get. They're not.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Um,
Oh, go ahead.
he's dangerous, and you spoke to the idea of like him and Chance playing each other next. How you're not so much of a fan of that idea. I'm in total agreement with you because the idea of getting those two new guys to basically cannibalize each other
Yeah.
is, that could be such a bigger match.
They let them play
Yeah,
two other players first.
yeah,
Give them each another player, and then after they win that, then let that be a number one contender match against Paul and Chance.
absolutely. But
Because that's the thing, is this is a match that we've never seen before. Everybody in the who knows about the fan leagues wants this match.
we've been waiting for it for the last, better part of a year.
Yeah.
The second Paul really started to, hit his stride and be that guy was right around the time Chance was leaving. Um, hey, I would fucking love to see that match. But realistically, you need to let that piece of meat marinate for a little while.
Yes. That's going to be an amazing match when it happens, but I want to wait for it.
Yeah. And it's realistically, no matter when it happens, the fan league turnout on those matches is going to be fucking huge.
Oh, definitely. Without a doubt.
I say to anybody on, in these leagues, whether I say it to Robert Parker or I say it to Cody Newberry or Grant or you or whoever, Dominic Rizzi, Dustin Mason, any of those guys, I say to you, Chance and Paul are going to play one another. And it's going to be like that scene in The Matrix when friggin' Mouse runs in and he goes, Morpheus and Neo are fighting,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and everybody just goes booking it right over. Like we all are basically, we're just waiting on bated breath for that match. That match is going to be epic.
Yeah. This is Yeah. So, I mean, I'm happy we're probably going to get it sooner than we would have expected,
Yeah,
but it's just that's a match. Maybe if they do it this soon, maybe they'll do some cutscenes for it. That'd be great. If there were really some kind of little cutscenes before or after the match to really build it up. That'd
yeah,
be awesome, and I'd accept that if there was really an effort to build up the clash of those two.
yeah.
You know,
That's the way it's got to go.
yeah.
Oh,
If
also, Paulo Yama, if you are fucking watching this at some point, you weren't going to play Chance next. I was. That's a fucking fact. All right. So don't say that shit again. Chance's next match was against me in multiplex. Sorry.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was side thing. But yeah, I mean, it's not inaccurate.
It's the truth. But
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, moving on now. I do want to talk about this cutscene at the end here. We had Dan
oh
Murrell and
yeah,
John Roca.
yeah,
Or what?
with the horseman.
Yes, the Horseman cutscene. We had
Yeah,
Dan Murrell and John Roca congratulating each other. We had Mark Riley come up. They're all having fun. Then Mark Riley makes the suggestion that Ben Bateman join the Horseman. And Roca loses
he
his
was not a
mind.
fan of that idea.
He was
Out of
not.
curiosity, could you feel the tension at the beginning of that cutscene?
I think they were trying to make it like there was some
It,
fake tension.
it, you know what? You can say fake tension. It felt like there was real tension there.
I think we were supposed to feel like maybe Roca was mad. And
No,
then,
it wasn't even necessarily just with Roca. It was Roca, and then you've got three guys in there that have all played one another at the same time
yeah,
for a belt. And now Merle's got the belt back, and they're all part of a faction.
yeah. I think but like this, I'm talking about like when we see Roca kind of go up to Merle
Yeah,
and just kind of
yeah,
say
yeah,
something. That was to build the tension a little bit.
yeah. No question about it. But
Yeah,
it just, yeah, there was definitely tension in the air on that one.
yeah, yeah.
Especially all three of them want the belt back.
Yes. Yeah, all three of them want that belt.
Yeah,
But moving on to kind of talk about Bateman joining the Horsemen.
yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that will happen? What do you think the fallout of this will be?
Um, I like the idea of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think Bateman's he is a competent enough player to actually be in the same league with be in the same ranks as those guys. Um, it's it's definitely an awkward position for John Roca because between team action and his relationship with them, it it's not the best thing in the world, but at the exact same time, I think Bateman, his character has changed enough where it would make
Yeah.
sense for him to be with the Horsemen. And like I said before, you mentioned earlier about Mike Kalinowski and his, who studies harder than Mike Kalinowski. The only person I would argue that maybe studies harder than Mike Kalinowski is Ben Bateman. Roxy has openly talked about how she doesn't get laid when he loses matches. He is like that. He's that obsessed with the game. So I think that with that, that's only going to better the members of the Horsemen. So I think that's probably a good move for them to bring him into the ranks. It depends though, It
Yeah.
depends on where they want to go with the storyline, but overall, yeah, I think that would be a good move. I think it would be a very good move.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I do think Bateman is going to join the Horsemen because A, he's on the way to making like the full face turn. B, there are really only three options. Either Bateman joins the Horsemen, Riley leaves the Horsemen, or Riley breaks up with Bateman. Riley's not going to break up with Bateman. We know that.
Yeah.
Who's the Boss has a match scheduled for Chicago. Riley and Bateman are going to stay Who's the Boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then Riley's not going to leave the Horsemen. That I do not see that happening because I think they built up the Horsemen. They don't want to take down the Horsemen again a second time. They really you've got Roca and Merle still together. Yeah. And I think they want to keep Riley there. So they're not going to get rid of Riley.
Well, no, they're not, especially not with Inman having just announced that he's taking a break.
Yeah, and Nost. Yeah. They lost Inman, they lost Nost. They're not going to let the Horsemen root.
No, it would just crumble at that point because they're not even the 5 horsemen right now. They're the 3.
They're not even the 4 horsemen. They're just the 3. So they need that 4th member. They can't just go to Merle and Roca. So logically, Bateman has to join the Horsemen.
Yeah.
Logically, that is the only option that makes sense.
It would just make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say that the odds of Bateman joining are pretty solid.
Yeah. Okay, unless you have anything more to add.
I will say Paul Oyama joining the Horsemen would be a fucking fantastic move as well.
Yeah, but Paul's a heel right now.
Yeah. That's true.
I think Paul would have to make a face turn to join the Horsemen.
Yeah, I now that you mention that, I don't see that ever happening.
Yeah.
As
far as who Paul could join, I think we could see Paul joining up with the only other person who needs a teammate who doesn't have one that is that kind of important and is also a heel, JTE.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. Especially because JTE's gotten better.
Yeah. And let's not forget, JTE does know his stuff. He was a team champion.
He was, yeah. I mean,
I think he'll cover Paul in those few weaknesses that Paul does have.
Does he have any, though?
I mean, not really, no.
Like,
I mean, by weaknesses, I don't even mean weaknesses. I just mean spots where Paul would get a question wrong, like we saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, by weaknesses, I mean weaknesses in the sense that Paul still has the ability to get questions wrong.
Yeah.
And I think out of everybody, JTE, if Paul gets it wrong, JTE, depending on what the questions actually are, I feel like he might know the ones that Paul doesn't because it feels like they have different tastes in movies.
Maybe. I mean, like, it would definitely be a killer pairing in a lot of different senses. But, it all depends.
Yeah, it depends, definitely. We have to see, but I do think I can see that. Really, that's the only team that I can foresee happening for Paul if they want to give Paul a teammate.
Yeah.
Like, because they got Chance with Kalinowski, so that's not going to happen. Unless, like, that's the thing. If they put Paul and Chance on the same team.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned that. That was actually that was a possibility at one point. But if I'm not mistaken, it was in multiplex. They were going to team up, and then they put the kibosh on that because they were just like, no, because that's not fair to the rest of the people playing in the league.
Are you sure you're not talking about Robert and Chance? Because multiplex didn't have a Warzone.
Well, division. No, I know Paul and Chance at one point were supposed to be teammates. If it's in
multiplex, it wouldn't make sense because multiplex didn't yet have a Warzone team league, but they did have a fandom team league. Yeah, so I think it was Robert and Chance that were going to be.
It might have been them, but you know what? Either way, that's a friggin' terrifying combination.
Yes.
That's just fucking spooky. You don't do that to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, unless you have anything more to add, you want to give the plugs, tell the good people where they can find it?
Oh yeah, you can find me at Sandberg Sean on Twitter. You can find me at Sean Sandberg on Facebook. You can find me playing in Multiplex and Jack of All Trivia and Full Metal. And yeah, you can see me on here when I occasionally do show up on Schmoedown All Access. But yeah, Little Boat, over to you.
Yeah. You can find me hosting Schmoedown All Access, playing trivia wherever good trivia is found. Find my new podcast, Will Burn Your Houseboat Down, or Burns In the Boatman, or whatever Jade decides to call it. That's my podcast with my good friend Jade Burns. We have a lot of fun there. Check it out. Yeah, and this is Schmoedown All Access. You can find it every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, usually on the Jack of All Trivia Network. Peace.